And we're live. We're ready,
Wait, have
John.
we?
Yeah.
Oh, have we started the show?
Yeah, I guess you didn't hear the countdown because I had to mute, I
No,
realized.
no, I did not hear the countdown. And
Sorry about that.
yeah, well, this is off to a good start. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to I would call it the best damn movie related show, but it's pretty half-assed today. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. Good to have you guys here. I'm joined in studio, of course, or not in studio. I'm actually, you know where I am right now? I'm in Las Vegas. No, not Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Right now, we, of course, did our big movie meetup last night in Albuquerque. We're on our way to Denver right now. So we stopped off here in Las Vegas, New Mexico on our way so we could do the show. I'm joined in studio today, of course, by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry for no countdown, I guess.
And I said in studio, not in studio, Jonathan Voigel's back at his place. And also joining us from the Robservatory is writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett.
Greetings, programs. How are you all today?
And so, yeah, listen, I did want to mention we, of course, did our movie meetup last night in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the Regal Windrock, where we saw The Thing. And just a big thank you to there's a picture of most of the group that came out last night. It was a wonderful turnout. Like, again, when I first started planning these things, my guess was we were going to get 2, 3, maybe if it's a big night, we'll get 4 people showing up to it.
That's a great
But
turnout.
so far, it was great. It sold the theater out. So at Phoenix, San Diego, and now Albuquerque was great. I look forward to seeing all you guys up in Denver, in the Denver area tonight. We'll be out there. Going to go see The Long Walk finally, because I haven't seen that yet. So going to go see that tonight. Very excited about it. And thank you again to everybody who turned up yesterday. All right, guys. With that all down, we got a bunch of stuff to get to here. So let's get things started with this, shall we? You guys might remember that little Mario Brother movie. Yeah, made like what? 1.2, $1.3 billion. Almost was the biggest movie of the year that it came out. Just got beat out by Barbie. Well, now we have the official word on the actual title for the sequel. News press went out this morning here letting us know that the next Mario film, this coming to us from Polygon, is called the Super Mario Galaxy movie. The Super Mario Galaxy movie. Now, they put out a little announcement trailer with it. Like, it's just a short little thing where you see, I don't know, what is it? A groundhog, a gopher thing digging under the ground, and then the star saying in his best Mario voice, "Let's go," which was adorable. And, you know, listen, I remember when that first movie was coming out, I said about 6 months in advance, I said, guys, everybody's sleeping on the Mario Brothers movie. I think this is going to be the biggest movie of the year.
You did. You said that.
And everybody said I was great. Now, I was wrong. Barbie ended up being the biggest film of the year. But it got a hell of a lot more money than I think a lot of people initially thought because, like, I think we all kind of shortchanged just how endeared this entire IP, the Mario IP, is to everybody. We literally have generations of our families that have played it, right? Like, there are people watching it who they played it, their parents played it, and their grandparents may have played it when the property first started coming out. And maybe now they're even getting their own kids in it. It's been around forever. Mario Kart is always the most exciting thing to come out. The new Donkey Kong game is great, by the way. I can't remember the name of it, but the new Donkey Kong, where it's basically open world, you can go around and smash and destroy everything. It's a lot of fun. So the first one comes out, makes like 1 point some odd billion dollars. I mean, absolutely crazy. I don't think we should expect that for the second one because 2 reasons. One, the novelty of this graphically true to the game style looking animated Mario Brothers movie, you know, was coming, and it had the novelty of that. Secondly, I liked the Mario Brothers movie. I didn't think it was awesome, though. Like, I thought it was pretty good. I was entertained by it. In a thumbs up or thumbs down world, I'm a thumbs up guy. I liked it. But I didn't passionately love it. And I don't think a lot of people passionately loved it. So I think this new movie with the new title, and by the way, I like the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I like that as a title. It just gives you a lot of ways you can go with it. I think this will be another very big movie for Nintendo. I think it'll be huge. But I don't think we're talking about the $1 billion mark this time. Last time, Rob, I called it. Good, biggest film of the year. Didn't quite get there, almost did. But this time I'm saying let's temper our expectations a little bit. I think it will be big. I think it'll be a huge success. But I don't know if given all the context and everything as well, not to mention there are a few people coming to the movies today, but I just don't think it'll be $1 billion film this time around. And I think that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. This thing ends up being an $875 million, $925 million movie. That's a massive success. Anyway, Rob, what do you think about the title and what are your expectations for this new one?
Well, first of all, John, I like the title and I like the possibility of what creatures and characters we might see. Although I don't want to speculate on what those could be because there were so many of the characters in Mario World in the Mario Brothers movie. But look, it's inevitable when a movie makes over $1 billion that they're going to make another one. And I think that film, to me, was much better than it had any right to be. I was really surprised, actually, at how much I enjoyed that film. I actually watched it more than once. And because you think that, okay, anything, the same was true of like the Lego movie. When I heard that they were making a Lego movie, I'm like, come on, and then you go see that film and it's delightful. Like the people that made it understood the assignment. And, I think they released that first clip of like the battle lines being drawn. It was Koopa and his minions. Wasn't that in the first trailer?
Oh, yes, where they're attacking the kingdom. And do you yield?
Dude, once I saw that, I'm like, okay, I think they might have something here.
That was clever.
It was really clever, right? And so
and how good was the Peaches song? How good was the Peaches song? It's like one of the best things in movies that year.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say that I will give all of my I'm willing to go all in on this. I think this movie will probably be, I'm just going to assume it's going to be good. I'm going to assume that they've come up with a good idea for it and that it won't be terrible and that maybe it's not going to make as much. I mean, it's a tall order. Anytime you're saying, yes, it's going to make another $1 billion. Look, after watching The Force Awakens, you would have thought The Last Jedi is just going to make $1 billion. No. That's a lot of money. $2 billion is a lot of money. $1 billion is a lot of money. So it might not make
but The Last Jedi did make $1 billion.
It did, but it didn't make $2.
It did not.
It made like 1.3, and that was a drop of $700 million. That's a big drop, but still successful because I wouldn't surprise me if this movie is in the same range. I would expect it to. And Super Mario Galaxy, that's what it's called, right? Super Mario Galaxy.
The Super Mario Galaxy movie.
I love that. The Super Mario Galaxy. I think it's really cool. So look, I'm stoked. I'm glad that they're doing it. Obviously, we knew it was an inevitability, but I think that the video game movie adaptation train has left the station, and so far the stops have been pretty fun lately. So,
all right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? They've given an official title to the Mario Brothers sequel. It's the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I like the title, and I think it's going to do great. But do you agree or disagree with me in that it might make $1 billion again? I mean, everybody disagreed with me with the last one when I said it would make over $1 billion. And now I'm saying I don't think this one will, but it'll still be successful. Maybe you agree with me. Maybe you disagree with me. Whether you do or don't, let me know what your thoughts are. Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? As I mentioned, we did the movie meetup here in New Mexico last night, and we had to rush back to our campsite. Didn't get to our campsite till after midnight, and we had to get up at like 6 this morning, but I still couldn't go to bed because I had to watch the new episode of Peacemaker. God, I have been loving this season of Peacemaker. The first 3 episodes to me have not lost a beat from season 1. I love the slightly expanded role that Eagly has been getting in it. I think Tim Meadows has been a great addition. Also, who's playing Rick Flag Sr. again? The guy who played Romolo?
Yeah.
Why am I Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo is fitting right in with this cast. I've been really enjoying it. So I rushed back here to watch the new episode, and I do not think it was the best episode of the season, but I still really liked it. Like, okay, first of all, there are 100 things to unpack in last night's episode, right? Like, hey, okay, first of all, so wait, time out here. So you got the dimensional door from an alien? Like from a straight up alien. What was that alien? I'll tell you what, Rob, maybe you recognized it. I did not. So I'm like, okay, so wait a minute there. So there's that. I love the punt when she says to Peacemaker, wait a minute, your dad's some kind of super genius. No, he's not. Okay, well, how did he make all your helmets? And then he punts by going, that's a complicated story. because they know the moment that they suggest that his dad did not create the dimensional, door, did not create that little pocket universe, the whatever they call it, the interdimensional closet, whatever. The question will come up, well, wait a minute, I thought he was the super genius. Look, so what about the Peacemaker helmets? That's a complicated story. And then they just leave it like they're like a fart in a closet. And they just kind of leave it there. And I loved that. I thought that was so brilliant on their part. The whole tension thing of when they're rushing in to try to break into the dimensional closet, and does Peacemaker get the new one signed up? Judo Master being back is great. He hasn't lost a beat. I like his little insult game with Economos, I thought was wonderful. Again, the expanded view, the expanded role for Eagly. And then all of a sudden the Michael Rocker. See, I love Michael Rocker. Everybody does. But the last episode, I'm like, so what's his role in this going to be? And then you watch this episode and you're like, okay, wait, there's a lot more to this guy. Now I badly want to see Chris Rocker, Rocker's character and Hawk Girl go head to head. So now I think if they don't do that, if they don't pay off this character with Hawk Girl at some point, I think we're missing out on something. Anyway, again, listen, but I also felt like it was a little bit slower. I was kind of hoping to get more of what Earth X is in that universe. We still got half the season to go, so I guess there was no rush to do that. And we didn't get any of that stuff, which I was a little bit disappointed with. But still, I got to say, I quite enjoyed it. Again, not my favorite episode of the season. More, it felt like one of those, okay, we've had a few episodes. Now this is an episode that's going to set up this other stuff that's coming soon. That's what it felt like to me, but still quite enjoyable. I smiled a lot, and it was worth staying up for. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance. Did you? I didn't have a chance to ask you.
I have not seen the episode.
You didn't see the new episode
only because
Peacemaker.
I always forget these things are on now. I don't even remember what day it is. And I was in the middle of editing this Roy Lee interview I did. So that's what I was busy doing. So I don't know who the alien is. I want to know.
Oh, that's so when I said to you, hey man, I didn't recognize the alien, did you? You don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, I thought it was like the alien that came out of the door, like the black alien. Oh,
no,
so there's a whole new alien.
There he is. There he is.
Oh, he
looks like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like,
so does this mean has this alien been on Earth the whole time?
I don't know.
Does that mean in the DCEU Superman's not the first extraterrestrial on Earth? I mean, well,
maybe.
Oh, no.
Maybe.
It's not easy being he needs shot.
Frog legs. All right,
Wow.
guys. Question is for you then. What did you think of the new episode of Peacemaker if you had a chance to see it? I didn't think it was the best episode of the season so far, and I was kind of hoping they'd do more Earth X, but I thought what they put in it was still pretty fun. Anyway, guys, whatever you guys thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? It feels, Rob, fairly or unfairly, right now, it feels like the entire movie industry is just in countdown mode to Avengers Doomsday. That might be fair to say. It might not be fair to say, but that's what it just kind of feels like. It feels like everything between now and when Doomsday coming out, all due respect to the Spider-Man movie and all the great films we got coming out for the rest of this year and next year, it just feels like everything is kind of counting down to Doomsday. And for the big triumph it'll be, or the big disaster it'll be. We'll find out when we get closer. It's
certainly going to be something to watch, I'll tell you that.
Either way, it's something to watch. So, of course, one of the big things everybody's buzzing about is Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. Well, there are reports coming out now, like this one in Comic Book Movie, that is saying we now have our first look at Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom. Now, what they're getting this from is a Disney presentation or a Disney display that's at the Merchandise Expo in China. And they've got this picture they've got out there. Here's a slightly larger version of him. And this is what they've got going on at their merchandising expo. Now, they're calling this the first official look at Robert Downey Jr. Comic Book Movie said, we did some quick research. This exact design, they said they can't find in any of the comics. This exact design.
It's a great design.
And the fact that it's at the merchandising expo and the fact that he's surrounded by the film reels, that this is them saying this is our Doctor Doom. I cannot individually verify. I did write to somebody this morning who would know. And I asked them, is this indeed the Doctor Doom outfit? Have not heard back from them. And I don't know if I'm going to hear back from them, but I have not heard back from them. So I cannot personally independently verify that this is indeed it. I can only tell you that some of the other outlets are calling it this. This is what's part of the Disney presentation, the Disney display at the Merchandise Expo. So for the sake of the discussion, acknowledging that this may or may not be the actual Robert Downey Jr. design as Doctor Doom, let's, for the sake of discussion, assume for a moment that it is. Okay. By the way, we'll scroll down a bit here just to get more of a full picture of what he's looking like. If this is indeed the Robert Downey Jr. Avengers Doomsday Doctor Doom, I really like it. I like it a lot. I love everything from the metal gauntlets, the chainmail in the joints. The mask is great. The cloak is great. The emblemism is great. Even down around the midriff, the belt looks amazing.
Kind of looks like the Apple symbol on his belt.
Steve Jobs, the legacy of Steve Jobs lives on. No, I'm just telling you, if this is indeed that look. Now, look, to me, you guys know, I don't find costume design to be remotely important. And a lot of people disagree with me, but I'm sorry, it's proven every time. I've seen a lot of really good comic book stuff where the costume design has been terrible and it never hurt the movie. I've seen some incredible costume design in really bad movies. Incredible costume design didn't save it. So it doesn't really matter as far as the overall quality of the movie goes. But if that is the Doctor Doom look,
it must, because everything else on there is from film.
Yeah, and the Spider-Man one is accurate to the costume shots we've seen from Brand New Day. So if that's it,
see if I can
not only am I happy with it and do I think it looks really great, but I got to say, Rob, I think a lot of people are going to be happy. Dare I say, Rob, that looks so good that there might be even some naysayers that'll go, okay, I still think this movie's going to be a mess, which is fair enough. But yeah, the Doctor Doom costume looks really good. Like, I think it looks pretty sharp here. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to take a look at this thing. Number one, what do you think of the validity of it? And then even if you don't think it's valid, assuming it is, what do you think about the design? How do you see it?
Oh, I think it's absolutely valid. You know, I a viewer of my own channel, Thomas Logan, sent me the shots. He sent me some link to some Chinese website. I'm like, why am I doing this? And, you know, saw the shots. It looks very legit to me. You know, because, you know how it is. You're and work for Hasbro, and how far in advance they have to, because remember, the movie was pushed back 6 months. So they probably already had a lot of these designs were already in this planning stages to make. So what people need to understand is when they have merchandising, the studio makes what's called a style sheet, and they have all the style sheet goes out to all the licensors and things, and everything kind of has to follow their pattern. So there's a uniformity amongst all the products that are being made, whether they're toys or games or plushies or whatever. And so they do that for all these big licensing products. So I totally believe that Doctor Doom is legit. And like you, that costume is dope, dude. I love the chainmail underneath the gauntlets where at the joint level. I love everything. You know, Marvel has killed it when it comes to translating costumes to the big screen. I mean, you might quibble, but I don't think they've ever missed, every costume for every one of their heroes. That's been one of the great joys of the MCU is from the very beginning, the way they use the Captain America, like the old school costume on the USO tour with Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And then, they gave him that World War II battle costume that still looked like Captain America, but it felt
100%.
It felt like it was functional, like you would go into World War II into battle in that thing. And then by the time you get to Avengers Endgame, Captain America was just awesome. The Iron Man armor, the Thor armor. As much as I didn't like Love and Thunder, I love the disco Thor armor. Even that was cool. So to see this, I mean, Doctor Doom, one of the most important costumes they've ever done, or uniforms, call it what you want. If this is what he looks like, aces. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'll pre-order the hot toy figure. I mean, it looks fantastic. I don't think it could look any better.
And to your point, because some people say, well, why would they be showing this like this early? To your point that you alluded to a little bit earlier, they have to show for merchandising, they have to show a lot of this stuff to the merchandise people way in advance. You mentioned Anne worked at Hasbro for a while. So one of the very first things that Anne did when she was working at Hasbro was they had to fly her out to the San Francisco area to go to Lucasfilm to literally go in and look at everything for the upcoming, I think it was it was for The Force Awakens. And they flew her out there, and like a year before The Force Awakens came out, a full year, they're touring her around Lucasfilm, showing her all the sketches, all the models, all the characters, because the toy life cycle has to start that early.
Yeah.
It takes so long to develop, and then the stages of approvals and all that kind of stuff before you finally have a package ready to go toy, and then have the logistics of the distribution. It takes a long time. So, I mean, again, I cannot independently verify, Rob, that this is legit, this picture. It looks legit. It's meeting the tests. But if it is, I got to say, man, I think it looks great.
Yeah, I do too. Really cool.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? I guess there's two questions here for you. Number one, do you think that is actually a look at the design of Dr. Doom in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday? And if so, and regardless of that, do you like the design we're seeing? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? I'm worried. I can barely focus on anything right now. I'm so distracted by worry and fear because my boy Henry got injured. And Highlander, the production of Highlander has now been delayed. According to a report in Variety, the Highlander remake, and some of you guys may know that the original Highlander is one of my top 10 favorite films of all time, and my boy Henry is one of my favorite guys in anything. But the report reads as this. They were just getting ready to start shooting, and according to the report, he got injured. This is what they said. Henry Cavill has sustained an injury while preparing for the Amazon MGM remake of Highlander, which will delay the production on the Chad Stahelski directed film likely until 2026. That Variety has confirmed. So it's not just that my boy Henry Cavill got injured. He was injured preparing for the film. Now, we've known for, I think they announced him back in 2021, 2022, that he was going to be the new Highlander. And he has spent the last couple of years sword training. And I remember him talking about the fact that they're not just training him in one style of swordplay, that they're saying as an immortal who has lived for hundreds of years and who's traveled the world, he's going to be fluent in every kind of sword combat.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense. Because in the original, he had a katana, right, at the end? Wasn't that in the original? Did he fight with a katana?
I can't remember what he fought with at the end.
It wasn't a broadsword.
At any rate,
no,
he's good because when you get through everything with the quickening and all that kind of stuff, it would make sense. And Henry Cavill, who's already shown in something like The Witcher that he can be a badass on screen wielding a sword, that's pretty cute. Now, look, nothing in here says that he injured himself while training with the sword. It just said he got injured while preparing for the new movie. But I got to ask this, because I believe this movie was supposed to start filming in October, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But I thought it was supposed to start shooting in October. And for them to push this thing 3 months, they're not even committing to January. It could be like February, 3 or 4 months. I don't want to make too big of assumptions, but I wonder if it's a serious injury. Because, to not be able to come and just even act on screen, I wonder how serious it is. Or it might be an issue of, he hurt himself. He'll be available 2 weeks later, but that throws the schedule off. And now, so I don't know what the issue here is. All I know, guys, is I'm bummed out. I have been waiting for years for this. First of all, I've been waiting for over a decade for a Highlander remake. The Highlander and The Last Starfighter. These are 2 remakes that have to happen. So I've been waiting over a decade for this Highlander remake. Finally got my boy Henry. They finally announced they're going to go in production, and Henry hurts himself. So come on. Where do I send the get well card? Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think about the news?
Well, it is a bummer, but I would just say from a production standpoint, say that he has to recover for a month or 6 weeks or something. The thing is, then you're getting into the holiday season. So they might have
true.
So you have the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday. So if they were going to start production, they would have 2 stops and starts. So they might have just decided that, we push production into the new year, and then we can start fresh, and we don't have to worry about anything. And because you know how Hollywood is, the entire month of December is kind of a wash unless you're in production. So I think that was probably part, and that way he gets healed up. He's 100%. Everybody's happy. There's no insurance issues, and you just go ahead and start in the new year. You start fresh. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. And I think they probably made a very prudent production decision.
I was just going to say, Jonathan, one of our live viewers just gave a great logistical solve for this. Just go get Liam Hemsworth to replace him again. Just slide Liam Hemsworth right in there, and
slide him right in.
Ready to go.
Man.
Slide him right in. Hey, sorry, Jonathan. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. What do you got there? Hold on a second. I got to show everybody this, honey. What do you got? So we are traveling around. We're not. I play poker, but we're not gamblers really. And every state we were stopping in so far, Anne has bought. Oh, this is a California one. This is the Arizona one.
Oh, okay.
And now this is the New Mexico one. She's buying one Mega Million ticket in every state that we're going to.
What are the odds that she hits it in every state?
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you if we win.
You'll just be
but
gone.
There will be signs. There will be signs.
It's just going to be.
All I'm going to say.
It's just going to be the Jonathan and Rob show, and no one will understand why.
There will be signs that we won $300 million. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Please go on.
No, I was just going to say, I understand he's injured, and I can see how if they're worried about sound stages, then that could run into something else that they have scheduled for the next scene, so they have to stair step. But I wonder if they can still do all their Unit B stuff, all their establishing shots, get that in the can, anything that doesn't have him in a shot, start getting that done, and then pick up from there. Because
they did that. Who did they do that with? Was it? I think there was a Harrison Ford movie where he sustained an injury, and then what they did was they just rearranged to shoot other stuff. Like they just shot out of the natural order. It was
The Force Awakens when the door from the Millennium Falcon fell on his leg.
On Han Solo.
Oh, that's right. They just worked around him. That's right. They just worked around it. That was the one. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you like me, fraught now with nerves that our boy Henry Cavill has been injured preparing for the new Highlander movie and that they've delayed production? Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to play a little round here of overreaction. A little bit earlier today, we jumped into the community tab, the post tab on our YouTube channel. We asked our subscribers, hey, You got a statement you want to make, and for us to tell you whether you're overreacting or not? A bunch of you guys sent some in. Jonathan's got them gathered up. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
All right. So our first one, overreaction here. We'll start with Rob. Rob, is this an overreaction or not? When DF Wassian says AI is going to ruin the movie industry.
I think that is an initial knee-jerk reaction that a lot of people are having, but I think it's not going to necessarily ruin the movie industry, because at the end of the day, the movie industry has to provide great stories well told, as they always have. And AI is going to be a tool that's going to actually probably help the movie industry in ways we haven't thought of yet. The real question is, will the movie business come to rely on only AI, or will they retain the talent and the abilities that we've always known and loved? I don't think anyone's going to want to, if you had the choice to go see an AI generated movie or the latest Christopher Nolan movie, you're going to take Nolan all day and twice on Sunday. So I think that the movie business is going to be beholden to AI as a tool, but I don't think it's going to replace the human element, at least not right away.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to call this an overreaction as well. But I get the initial thing, but this seems to happen whenever some kind of new disruptive technology comes out. Like when VHS, the VCR came out, you just have to read the old articles about it. There were a lot of people saying the sky was falling. This was going to kill the television industry. Yep, it was the end of Hollywood. It was going to end the movie industry. It was going to do all that kind of stuff. And what happened was that the industry adapted to it and learned how to profit from it. And now we look back on it and think, well, that was silly that we all worried about that, or that people at the time worried about it. Look, I think AI is like anything else. It's a tool. It can be used in the right way. It can be used in the wrong way. And I think ultimately what will happen is, like, is there a lot of negative, potential here? Yes. But overall, I think it's going to be the same thing like everything else. With some new disruptive technology comes out, the industry will adapt to it. And it'll look a little different than it did before, but I think ultimately it'll come out on the other side. All right, what's next?
Okay, next up, we're going to go with you, John. When Kahi2 MVP asks, states, Timothy Chalamet is a bigger box office draw today than Tom Cruise. Whoa.
Ooh. You know what? If you asked me that 3 years from now, my answer, future John, would probably say that is not an overreaction. Today, I will say that's an overreaction. Look, I actually think, and you guys know what I think of Tom Cruise as an actor. I think he's a phenomenal multi-Academy Award nominated actor. But I think Timothy Chalamet is the better actor. You guys know I think he's the next Daniel Day-Lewis. He's not Daniel Day-Lewis yet, but I think he's the next one. He just keeps getting better and better and better. He might be the best pure actor working in the business right now. But he also does a lot of films that are like a complete unknown. He doesn't do big box office films. Now, Wonka he did, but that movie ended up making a lot more money than people thought it might initially. Whereas with Tom Cruise, yeah, there was Top Gun Maverick, but since Top Gun Maverick, they've had a couple of slight misfires with Cruise. But I still think today, the answer is saying Timothy Chalamet is a bigger box office draw than Tom Cruise today is an overreaction. Rob, what do you think?
I'm going to go the opposite direction for no other reason that Timothy Chalamet makes a lot more movies than Tom Cruise does.
That's true.
So Chalamet, you look at Dune. Dune made over $700 million. Dune 2. He's got Dune 3 coming out. I mean, the last two Mission Impossible movies didn't even go over 600 million. And then if you add when Timothy Chalamet does movies like A Complete Unknown, or he even, like you said, Wonka, and there's other movies that he's starring in. He's in
What's that new one? Something Supreme.
Yeah.
They're already saying that's
Marty Supreme.
They're already saying that's probably going to get a Best Picture nomination.
So if you were to combine his various movies, and also he does lower budget films and he does big budget movies. And I think, let's face it, movies they start as a young man's game. And in terms of appealing to the youth market, Timothy Chalamet is a star. Is he still going out with what's her face? With
one of the Kardashians?
One of the Kardashians,
I don't. Ann will know that. Ann, is Timothy Chalamet still dating the Kardashian girl?
I don't know.
Ann doesn't know, so it's a question mark.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, he appeals
TBD.
on. So I would say that in terms of of different kinds of movies. I mean, Tom Cruise, we get to see him once every 2 years now. And I think Chalamet is a rising star. And I think he's pretty,
as of August, AI says they still are.
Well, there you go. So
there you have it.
Yeah.
AI is a wonderful tool.
All right. What's next?
All right, we're gonna shoot over to you, Rob, here with the third overreaction. When David Jones says Disney won't win back the Star Wars fandom with any stories from the sequel era.
I'm going to say that's an overreaction because as I've always said, every franchise is one great movie or one great TV show away from being restored to greatness. And I think that, look, as much as I am not interested in a Rey movie, if they made a Rey movie and the Rey movie was really good, let's say it was the Top Gun Maverick of the Star Wars universe, people would go. And I think that Star Wars has a hurdle to overcome, but as I will stick to it. I think that there's ways. I mean, Starfighter is technically in the sequel era, takes place 5 years after the Battle of Exegol. Mm-hmm. So I look at Starfighter and I'm like, I'm kind of excited. What if it's great?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not an overreaction to say that, because I think what Star Wars needs to do, and Rob, you and I have talked about this before, is that they've got to get out of the yard. They've got to start expanding and start going into new territory, go further into the future.
No doubt.
Go further into the past, like go thousands of years into the past, something like that. Get away from this, whatever era you want to call it, the sequel era, trilogy, whatever. Now, you bring up Starfighter, Rob, and that's a really good one to bring up. Starfighter is almost unique because it is going to be so detached from everything else. Like, I don't think we're going to see Chewbacca show up in Starfighter. I don't think we're going to see Yoda show up in Starfighter. So it's going to feel very different, but it is just the era. So, yeah, for now, I'm going to say it's not an overreaction because I think most of us agree they need to expand out and start doing something new, but it's close. But I'll stick with not an overreaction for now. All right, what's next?
All right, next up, we're going to go with you, John. When we figure out if this one's an overreaction or not, I believe this is our, yes. Avatar Enthusiast says, the Paramount Warner Brothers merger will be a disaster and negatively impact the movie business.
Well, every move in Hollywood has the potential to do that. I just want to bring our attention back to the last big, huge merger that happened in Hollywood. Disney and Fox Disney getting 20th Century from Fox. And, so far, that's worked out pretty good. Right now, it could have been better. It could have gone through, but did it shake the industry to rubble? Did the buildings collapse? Did anarchy break out within Hollywood? No. Could it have? Yeah, it could have, but it didn't. And it worked out okay. And I think the same thing is there for Paramount taking over Warner Brothers, because again, they've got a lot of money behind them. It's not an exaggeration to say they have more money behind them than any Hollywood company in the world. They have big dreams. They have big vision. It could be great, but like anything, it could be good, could be bad. But yeah, I think to state that, this is going to be a disaster right out of the gate, recent history says that that's an overreaction. Rob, what about you?
I think it is an overreaction. Look, I don't think it's good for the business. I really don't. Less places to take properties to develop is not ever really a good thing. On the other hand, there's a New York Times article that talks about how David Ellison, he's laid out a lot of money. He made the South Park deal. He's making the Call of Duty movie. He's laying out some big bucks. And as Lorenzo de Bonaventura, a guy I met when I was a young whippersnapper in the business, producer now, he said, David Ellison wants to make cool stuff. Like, that's what he said. And David Ellison has proved it, with the moves that he's making. He's making some big moves after the deal closed. He's not resting on his laurels. So if that's what they're going to do, and they're going to lay out, Warner Brothers has a lot of debt right now. And people have talked about that Warner Brothers is still massively in debt because of the AT&T, that merger ending. And with Larry Ellison, with Daddy David Ellison can probably come in and solve a lot of those problems. And I don't think he's going to want to get rid of DC Studios, and he's not going to want to get rid of what Warner Brothers is doing. And he probably doesn't want to get rid of Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca because of their experience in the industry. So maybe it could be a good thing. I think ultimately having less places to go is not a good thing. But for Warner Brothers, maybe it could shore it up, make it a little bit more on more steady ground, and at least for a while. And if David Ellison wants to continue making cool stuff, we'll all benefit. I mean, even at Fox, I just want to point out that Steve Asbell, the president of 20th Century Studios, who I like to call the quiet king of franchises, within 6 months, he's delivered 2 Predator movies. You have the animated Killer of Killers that was on. That was dope. We got the upcoming Badlands. He brought back Planet of the Apes and made Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is a pretty wonderful movie. He's got physical media coming out. They did Kingdom of Heaven. They did Master and Commander. They've got other physical media and repops of their movies in 4K. So there's we got on TV. We got Prey and Hellraiser. So there's and now 20th Century's got some upcoming original films for the first time in a while. So it could be good.
All right,
could be good.
What's next?
All right. We're going to send over to Rob here. Is this an overreaction? Keaton Habeck says F1 will be the most Academy Award nominated film this year. So F1, the racing movie, not F4.
I think that's I think that's an overreaction. And I only say that because the notices that One Battle After Another have been getting are great. Of course, that doesn't take into account the Paul Thomas Anderson fanboys out there. But we haven't seen what's coming out for the rest of the year. And I think that F1, indeed, beautifully made, great popcorn movie, probably will get a lot of technical awards, cinematography, sound, editing, definitely there. But I don't know, maybe soundtrack. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the most nominated movie of the year. Hard to say.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you. I'm going to say that is an overreaction. But lest there are people looking at that question and going, that's an insane thing to say. It's not insane. I actually think F1, you were just pointing out, Rob, I think F1 is going to get a number of below-the-line nominations. Yeah. Cinematography, editing, sound, I think is a lock. I think sound design is a lock. Then you get into some other areas like music, costuming, all that kind of stuff. Like, so don't sleep on, look, F1 may end up with just 1 or 2 nominations, but don't sleep on the fact that this movie could end up with 5 or 6 nominations. Oh. I just think, like Rob was saying, I do think there will be a couple of other I think Sinners, I think One Battle After Another. I think there are going to be a number of these films that might get a couple more, but I think F1's going to get a bunch.
I do too. And, you know, on Designing Hollywood, obviously on this channel, we cover costume design, and people forget F1 created a world. That world of high-end car racing, it's not just the people that were forefront. You all the people from the pit crews to all the rich people that finance things. F1 had incredible costume design. And so I wouldn't be surprised at all if it gets nominated for costume design.
All right. What's next?
All right. Final overreaction here. Going to end up with you, John. Is this an overreaction or not? When Giggles McPhee says Paramount will pressure James Gunn to increase DC's output considerably.
I'm not saying that it will happen, but I don't think that's an overreaction. Look, one of the first things that always happens whenever somebody takes over a business, they want to see more. They want to produce more. They want to make more, all that kind of stuff. Now, again, I also think there's a very good chance that doesn't happen. We'll talk a little bit more about that, I guess, in a bit when we discuss James Gunn. But there is a danger of it. I think there's a very real danger of it. So you suggesting it, I don't necessarily think is correct, but it's not an overreaction. Anyway, Rob, what do you think?
I don't think that. I think you're exactly right. I mean, when you lay out the kind of money, I think it'll probably be the largest media deal in history. You spend that much money, and they're talking about mostly cash offer, you're going to want to see some returns, and you're going to want to make sure that your money's coming back to you. Although I do think that David Ellison will want to make sure that the quality of what DC Studios is doing is maintained. I don't think you're going to see what happened when Chapek demanded Marvel make a bunch of TV shows.
Yeah, don't repeat a Chapek.
Yeah, I think they're going to want, sure, you might want more movies out, but, and I think, by the way, DC Studios will get more movies out as they develop their scripts and have things that are ready to go. You'll probably see them up their output, maybe not a lot, but we might get one more extra film or one more TV series than we're expecting to get now, because, I mean, James Gunn does not want to crash and burn. You know, he's building something. And remember, the MCU for the first 10 years, the MCU was on an upward trajectory all the way through Endgame from 2008 to 2019. And I think that that's something, you know, James Gunn is very aware of, and he's building up for a 10-year, he's got a 10-year plan at least. So I don't think that, you know, forcing the issue is going to necessarily be, sometimes making more does not necessarily mean you'll ultimately be more profitable, which is what they really want.
All right, guys, and that'll wrap up our little foray into overreaction today. Big thank you to all you guys who sent in some overreaction scenarios for us, and keep your guys' eyes open on the YouTube channel when we put out a call for them, and we'll pick some out every time. All right, with that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Rob, how many times have I texted you in the middle of the day or given you a call and said, you know, damn it, Rob, I just need to pay more for my streaming services. Why can't I pay more?
You know, John, to be honest, never.
Yeah, actually, it has never happened. But it seems to be a part of the reality of life. Streaming costs keep going up. I feel like every couple of weeks we're talking about Peacock just announced a price increase. Paramount just announced a price increase. Netflix just announced a price increase, and so on and so forth. Well, we just heard from the current head of Warner Brothers himself that they are looking at more price increases for HBO Max. They said the following. Yes, excellent. Over time, says the Hollywood Reporter, HBO Max will be raising prices. Then they quote David Zaslav. The fact that this quality, they're talking about the quality of HBO, which none of us dispute. The quality of HBO Max is not in dispute. That's obvious. The fact is this is quality. And that's true across our company, motion picture, TV production, and streaming quality. We think that gives us a chance to raise prices, he said. We think we're way underpriced. We're going to take our time. So David Zaslav is saying probably what a lot of other studio executives say and think is that their services are way underpriced. David Zaslav thinks that HBO Max is something you look at and say, this is a steal that we're giving away to everybody. Now, I want to look at this from kind of both angles here. Because while you often hear me complain about how high the cost is getting, I don't necessarily think Zaslav is wrong here. And I would probably say the same thing if Sarando said it about Netflix, if Ellison said it about Paramount Plus. I probably say this because here's the thing. Right now, you're looking at HBO Max, and not for the ad-supported tier, but the standard one without ads, it's about $16 a month. That is less than what you would probably pay for a run to McDonald's. I just want us to think about that for a second. With all that massive library, and again, probably if you look at the top 50 TV shows of all time, probably like 20 of them come from HBO. But like the movie library, the television show library, the new stuff that they have coming, all that kind of stuff, $16 a month is, and I've said this about Netflix a lot too, when you look at everything you got, and I probably spend far more time on HBO on my TV than I do in a McDonald's, which costs more with just one trip. I've said this about Netflix. I've said it about Peacock. I'll say it about HBO Max. That is still, to me, a value proposition. $16 a month for that service and all the content you get is not unreasonable. But herein lies the problem, all right? And Zaslav himself kind of touches on it. Here's where the real problem is with streaming prices, okay? Zaslav said the marketplace is really challenged with too many players in the market, Zaslav said. When people turn on, the consumers put on their TVs. It's a terrible consumer experience. In almost every market in the world, there's just way too many choices. And you're Googling, where is it? And how do I get it from one to the other? How do I get into that platform? The problem with streaming prices is not the individual streaming price of Netflix. The problem with streaming prices is not the individual cost of Peacock. The problem with streaming prices in this case is not the individual price of HBO Max. The problem with streaming prices is that it is such a fractured landscape. There are so many of these players out there, and all of them have some must-watch stuff, is that it leaves us as entertainment consumers with a choice. Miss out on some of the stuff that all of our friends are watching, or just be very selective about just a couple of services. Because the problem isn't that HBO Max charges $16. The problem is that once you pay for HBO Max, and once you pay for Netflix, and what you pay for Paramount Plus, and what you pay for Peacock, and what you pay for mybarefoot.com, or whatever it is that you like. I ain't going to kink shame anybody. The problem with the pricing is that once you add it all up, once you take into account all the services, you start getting into north of what cable subscription prices used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it becomes problematic. So I don't blame Netflix for charging their price. Their library is insane in Netflix. The fact that you can get that for sub $20 a month that's a good value proposition. It's getting less good every time they raise prices. And do I think on its own, Rob, in a vacuum, $16 a month for HBO Max? Yeah, I think that is not an unreasonable amount of money. I could even see it go at a little bit higher. Again, it gets less good every time it goes up. But the real problem with streaming prices is there's so many pieces of the streaming puzzle we have to have. And when you add it all up, that's when it starts to hurt. And I don't really know what the big answer to it is at this point. Anyway, Rob, you heard Zaslav say basically two things. One, that we can make this more expensive. We can increase the price in this. But number two, Rob, he's kind of alluding to, I mean, the part of the problem with the experience for consumers right now is that there's so much content spread across so many streamers that it's becoming difficult for them. I don't know. What do you think about his comments, and do you have some theories about how it could be resolved?
Well, first of all, I think he's right. I mean, if I'm just going by my own, like, I pay for a lot of streaming services. The real question is, how much do I actually use them? And I'm not a big TV watcher. Like, if I'm going to flip around through channels, it's mostly YouTube now. But the streaming shows that I watch are very specific, like whether it's an Alien Earth or whether it's a Peacemaker or they're very specific. So I am paying, I think, an inordinate amount of money to have and even the people in our household are only watching very specific things. Maybe only Netflix is the one where there's a diversity of content that Elizabeth watches. But I do think it's too expensive, and I do think that it's too spread out. I mean, no one's gonna suddenly say, well, let's make one network and we'll all get a piece of it. I understand no one's gonna do that. The whole point of studios having their own streaming services, whether it's Paramount, whether it's Peacock, whether it's HBO, whether it's Disney Plus, is because it's money, it's guaranteed money movie studios never had before. So that's not gonna go away. No one's gonna get rid of that idea. And what's gonna happen is eventually people are just they're not going to, there's gonna be churn and more churn. The question is, how do you alleviate that problem? Well, eventually the studios are going to realize you reached a ceiling. People are only going to pay so much because they realize they don't watch every show. So they're going to reach a point where whatever the price is, I don't know what that price is going to be. You can have bundle services, but even a bundle is going to have the money, cranked up higher and higher and higher, because the people that have bundled are going to want more profit. But you're going to reach a ceiling, and that ceiling, I don't know what that ceiling is, where people are going to just say, nope. because they're going to realize they're spending way more money than they're getting in terms of value, because they don't just have enough time in the day to watch all of this stuff. So they'll come back to it when they can, when they've got 20 shows, stored up that they can watch. It's an inevitability. There's only so much money people have to spend. And it becomes, suddenly all these streaming services are not just disposable income. They suddenly become like, well, I have to buy food. Food prices have gone up, and you have to decide where are you going to allocate your resources. So,
yeah, again, it's not the $16 you pay for one; it's the $128 you pay for the collection.
That's right.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, even for me, it's kind of jarring to see the head of a streaming company say we can charge more, but I don't necessarily think he's wrong. The problem is on a larger scale. So what do you do about it? Churn, or whatever. Whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's run on to this, shall we? Yesterday news came out that Paramount, led by Skydance and David Ellison, is preparing to put in an official bid to buy Warner Brothers. The whole kit and caboodle, as they would say. Buying Warner Brothers. And I remember in our live chat, while we were talking about that, I saw a couple people in our live chat ask, well, wait a minute, what does this mean for James Gunn? In the meantime, I've seen some discussions then happening online. Well, if new owners came in, is James Gunn's job in trouble? So I thought, first of all, that's a very valid question to ask whenever you got, like, in sports, Rob, whenever you have new owner or new GM come in, everybody asks the question, is the head coach safe? Are they going to do a roster change here now? Because, sometimes new owners come in and want to do whatever. I want to give you guys a couple of reasons why James Gunn could be in trouble with his job as it comes to being the head of DC. And then I want to give you a couple of reasons why you shouldn't worry about James Gunn's position with DC. So I'm going to start with this. Reasons why James Gunn's job could be in trouble. All right. Because number one, with new ownership, sometimes comes a desire for a clean slate, right? We've seen it in business. We've seen it in sports. We've seen it in the movies. Sometimes there is a desire when a new ownership group or a new management group comes in and takes over, that there is a thought of just, we want a total clean slate. We want to just take this right back to the beginning and start this thing fresh. Now, again, I'm not saying that's what David Ellison or Paramount would do, but that is often one of the things that happens when new ownership or new management takes over. The second reason James Gunn might want to be a little bit worried about his job right now is the fact that, and again, we've seen this a lot in sports, when a new GM comes in, they want to get a new coach. Why? Because the current coach isn't their coach. That's not the coach they picked. That GM or that owner is trying to come in and create a culture or a team system, whatever, based around their philosophies. And they want to get somebody who's in that fits with them. They want to get their own guy. And again, in the world of sports, we've seen it happen over and over and over and over and over again. New owner, new GM comes in, pretty soon the current coach is sending out their resume and trying to look for a new job. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. Like if Paramount comes in and takes over Warner Brothers and they look at this very potentially valuable IP at DC, they may want to go, yeah, James is great, but James isn't my guy. I want to put somebody in there that I already know, that I already trust, that I already believe in their vision. Instead of trying to spend a year or two trying to, make chemistry with James Gunn, I just want to put my own person in there. Again, we've seen it happen lots of times in the world of business, in the world of sports, in the world of movies. Could happen here. The third potential reason why a James Gunn's job could potentially be in trouble is there's a possibility David Ellison just doesn't like what James Gunn is doing with DC. I mean, I certainly love what they're doing with DC so far. I know the vast majority of people clearly do, like 90+% audience ratings and stuff like that. Clearly, the vast majority of people like it, but who's to say that David Ellison likes what they're doing, or David Ellison likes the direction they're going in. Maybe he don't. And he just might want to go, you know what? I know they've already started a new universe. I know they've already started something, but, you know, I don't really like it. And it's still early. So it's early enough that we can just nip this in the bud and start something new. So again, therein lies the potential problems about why maybe James Gunn, and I think these are legitimate issues. These may be legitimate reasons with new ownership. They might want a fresh start. New ownership may want to put their own people in place. And maybe new ownership just doesn't like the way things are going right now, despite all the evidence to the contrary. All right. That being said now, let's look at why James Gunn doesn't have to worry about his job. Number one, sometimes, even when new ownership steps in, the philosophy of if it ain't broke, don't fix it comes in, right? You know, Rob has mentioned a few times, the idea of DeLuca and Abdi, you're running Warner Brothers. They're on a massive winning streak right now.
Yeah, you don't want to get rid of that.
Studio. Yeah, so like, you don't want to touch that. And guess what? DC's on a roll. The ratings for Peacemaker have shot up sky high. The audience approvals of Superman have been ridiculously good. We've seen their PVOD sales. We saw it break 600 million at the box office, despite the fact that DC, the brand, was in the garbage. They came back and got all that. So there's going to be this sense that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So there's that. The second reason James Gunn probably shouldn't worry about his job is because of the fact that, listen, even though it's early, they have already started a new DCU. Do you really want to have a third refresh that quick? I mean, that alone. Let's say, for argument's sake, that Superman made $150 million and nobody's watching Peacemaker. I still don't think you want to restart that early. You got to give it a bit of a chance, because the damage being done for yet another recycle could be pretty bad. Could be pretty bad. And then the third reason I don't think James Gunn has to worry about him is that everybody seems to be on board with the long-term vision is. And I think part of the reason David Ellison and Paramount would want to buy Warner Brothers is to, in fact, get James Gunn and his leadership over DC. That's probably one of the appealing things of taking over Warner Brothers. Not the thing, but one of the appealing things. So why should James Gunn be worried about his job? A lot of times new ownership would like a clean sheet and just start fresh. Number two, sometimes new ownership or new management want to put their own people in place. And number three, maybe new ownership just doesn't like the way things are going. But why should James Gunn feel safe in his job? Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's having great success, and you don't want the damage of having to do another full recycle. So, yeah, I get, Rob. I understand why there are people asking the question, geez, if Paramount takes over, is James Gunn's job in trouble? I get asking the question because there are legitimate reasons there. But I think when you really weigh it all out, I think James Gunn is going nowhere. I think he's probably one of the reasons Ellison and Paramount wanted to get this thing. So I think he's safe. But so we put the question to you now, Rob. What would be some reasons that maybe James Gunn should feel a little nervous right now with the potential of having a new boss? Is his job safe, or is it not safe? I don't know. How do you see it?
Well, whenever there's a merger, you've got two teams of people that need to be turned into one team of people, usually. So the new owners are going to bring in whatever they want to do or whoever they want to see or work with, and there's always cross cost cutting measures to deal with. So I think that's always a potential. You know, obviously studios have redundancies. I mean, you've got physical media departments. I would hope one of the things that Warner Brothers has that Paramount really doesn't have anymore, believe it or not, is a physical media department. And the physical media department at Warner Brothers, Warner Archive, part of the thing that they're doing is doing film restoration of their old classic catalog titles. And that could be something that Paramount could actually benefit from. So I would imagine that George Feltenstein and the people over at Warner Brothers could actually be very helpful, because Warner Brothers has been licensing their entire catalog out to whatever video company wants them. And I would think that they would, one of the things under Zaslav is he's not going to want to license Paramount's titles out anymore because they can use them for themselves. So I think that'll change. But in terms of DC Studios, it is its own entity, and it does kind of fall under the Warner Brothers Discovery umbrella. So it's part of what they're acquiring. And if it ain't broke, you don't want to fix it. So I think that if and it's basically a new studio. We've seen an animated series come out from it. We just had their first feature film, Superman, which did quite well, as you pointed out. It's burning up the SVOD charts. You've got Supergirl in the wings, Peacemaker season 2, Lanterns. So they have a lot of money that's been spent on product that could actually turn out to be very beneficial for Paramount. And again, that the train has left that station. And if DC Studios is doing well, if it supports itself, then why would you want to make that change? And you have Peter Safran. Remember, Peter Safran also is the producer of The Conjuring: Last Rites.
So, he was hotly there were a lot of studios that were after Peter Safran to come in to join them on different levels.
And Peter Safran and James Gunn have been partners for over a quarter century.
Yeah,
they've been working together, and that team is one of the most successful. Peter Safran's, as we talked about the numbers on the Conjuring franchise last week, Conjuring: Last Rites is going to put that franchise above $2.5 billion. So why would anybody want to get rid of Peter Safran and James Gunn, who are two of the most successful, well, maybe not since Brian Grazer and Ron Howard has there been a successful filmmaking producing team like Safran and Gunn, maybe ever since then. So why would you want to lose your key players? If you've got Super Bowl capable players, you want to keep them on your team, man.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, with the news that Warner Brothers may be getting sold, maybe to Paramount, maybe to somebody else, is James Gunn's job safe? Well, there are legitimate reasons you may worry a little bit about James Gunn's job security. We listed that off, but I think overall, the reasons you keep him are far greater. And again, I think one of the reasons David Ellison or somebody else might find buying Warner Brothers attractive is the fact that you've got James Gunn and Peter Safran there already. Anyway, whatever you guys think about that, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to the part where we take questions that you guys have sent in for us. Now, normally, this is the part of the show where we bid good afternoon to Robert Meyer Burnett, but instead, Robert's going to stick around and answer your questions. I'm going to take off because, again, we are currently still in New Mexico, and we've got to get to Denver for a movie meetup tonight. So we've got to hit the road right now, but Rob and Jonathan are going to take you guys home. By the way, I don't normally look at the questions in advance, guys, but I looked at one and somebody suggested that the new Conjuring movie costs $250 million to make. New York Times and the other outlets say no, it was $51 million. So
it was
that information.
Yeah,
it was like $51 million. Anyway, with that all said, guys, I bid you a good afternoon. I leave you in the good hands of Robert and Jonathan. And before we get to them taking your questions, we want to thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at PrizePicks. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's episode, PrizePicks. Look, you and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right actually means you win. And with football back, there is no better time to get in on the action. You guys know I've been using PrizePicks for a while now, and it's honestly the most fun I've had engaging with the new football season already. For example, this weekend, I had Josh Allen throwing for more than 270 passing yards and Baker Mayfield having more than 2.5 passing touchdowns, and boom, I won on both. Building your lineups on PrizePicks is fast, simple, and honestly extremely fun. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and if you're right, you win. What's even better is that PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still win even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Plus, they've even got this thing called injury reboots, so if a player goes down in the first half, it won't count against you. And PrizePicks operates in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So download the app today and use code CAMPEA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CAMPEA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right.
All right. Thank you to PrizePicks, guys. If you're interested, check them out. Use the link Campea. We really appreciate it. So now we're going to move on to our tips here. Now, ordinarily we would be giving you the tip link, but we have so many tips we're trying to get through. If you want to use the link, go ahead. I'm not going to put it up because we have so many we're behind on. So Rob and I are going to try to get through as many as we can. So here's our first one. It comes from Nightfall. Let me scroll down here. Nightfall Protocol. I think Travis Fimmel is actually perfect to play Baldur instead of Kratos. What do you think about that, Rob?
I think that's good. I mean, I could definitely see that. I mean, yeah, that's a great choice, but I don't know where we're at in terms of all the casting of have they cast Kratos yet?
No,
did they?
No,
I didn't think so. I mean, yeah, I think that it's going to be really. Look, I think one of the most exciting characters that we're going to see cast is Kratos, because that game. I mean, the whole God of War franchise it's been a terrific franchise, and it to me. Kratos is one of the iconic video game characters of the 21st century. So, I mean, one of my favorites, along with Dante from Devil May Cry, or Samanosuke from Onimusha. But those are, I don't know when we're going to see those on the big screen like that. But I like that choice. But I don't know if we're going to see that.
Right. All right. We got Henry, who says, I discovered that taste and style is a quotation. I discovered that taste and style were commodities that people desired. Freddie, what I'm saying is, you know your limitations. You're a moron. Finally watched Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Michael Caine's delivery is perfection. Next is Noise is Off. Any other recommendations? I guess he's looking for comedy recommendations.
Comedy, but early, Noise is Off, I know, is a favorite of John's. I think that's a great choice. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Noise is Off. You'd have to think of a comedy that's in that vein. God, that's a tough one. I always go back to my early 80s picks. If you haven't seen either Tootsie or the original Arthur with Dudley Moore,
you can't really go wrong with Arthur.
No, Arthur to me is I saw that movie 4 times in the theater when it first came out. And the thing about Tootsie is I think people forget what kind of a movie it is. People think, oh, it's just like Mrs. Doubtfire. It's the cross-dressing Dustin Hoffman film, but there's a lot more to it than that. And, Sidney Pollack, who directed the film, plays Dustin Hoffman's agent. And it's one of the great star turns by a director coming back, the same way that John Huston starred in Chinatown. I'm not necessarily comparing just John Huston's star and his character in Chinatown with Sidney Pollack's and Tootsie, but seeing directors come in and play characters like when Martin Scorsese does it, I think that those are, you can't lose. But Noise is Off is a great comedy. It has something to do with the theater, which if you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin anything, but it's good. Or you know what? Any of Christopher Guest's movies. Spinal Tap 2 is opening. If you haven't seen Waiting for Guffman or A Mighty Wind or
Can't agree with you more on those. Yeah.
Best in Show, right? Those are so good.
Mockumentaries. So be prepared for a mockumentary.
Yeah.
He kind of invented the mockumentary, honestly.
Yeah, well, he did with Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, the original one, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Moving on to Brandon Salad. Let me scroll up here. Says, hey, crew, next week we'll have a triple threat of fun television, Alien Earth, Peacemaker. Oh, and Gen V is back. Gen V hype. Can't wait.
I can't either. I'm very excited. I'm a huge fan of the boys. So that whole universe, what they do in those shows, even me, I sometimes my jaw hits the floor. I never thought I'd see some of that stuff on TV.
All right. We got Anonymous who says, the Mountain needs to play Bane in the DCU. I saw a video of him deadlifting over 1124 pounds. He did it with ease. Well, there's a lot of work to get there, but currently with ease. After he dropped it, he was yelling and flexing, and I immediately thought, that's Bane. The Mountain is a monster. Now, there were 3 different Mountains, 3 different actors, but I think he means the most recent one to fill that role.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, but here's the thing about Bane. Bane can't just be big and strong. You have to believe he can move too. And I think that there's a combination. There's like the guy obviously he's strong, but Batman's fast.
Right.
So you have to believe that somebody with that bulk and that strength can also be lightning fast. And I think that that's something you have to remember when you're talking about a character like Bane, because I mean, when you're going up against a skilled martial artist like the Batman, you better be able to move. You better be able to sting like a bee. That's all I'm saying.
You can't just be like Juggernaut and just try to bash through, you know.
Right.
Anonymous says, I was watching the Demon Slayer red carpet for the US release and noticed both Japanese and English dub voice actors were there. Do you think the premiere in LA last night was in sub or dub?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I would assume it would be the English dub. Only because for that audience, especially a big red carpet premiere for the industry, they want to know, like, the first question you would ask if you're watching this movie is, are kids going to watch this subtitle? But it's brought up the question, Jonathan, is it being released is the English language release, is the movie dubbed, or is the whole thing subtitled?
Typically with these movies, you have a choice.
Yeah.
So it'll say dub or sub on it. Yeah.
It's hard for me to watch. I will always go with the subtitled versions. I don't like watching. One of the great joys was as physical media I could get my favorite animated shows from the 80s dubbed, which I love.
There's one thing about it though. I did go to the Studio Ghibli. They do the annual Miyazaki Film Festival, and most of those are dubbed. One thing I do kind of appreciate about that is because they range from the 1980s through the 90s to the 2000s, and you had an interesting collection of actors and child actors who later became like adult, really famous actors. So I kind of liked that facet.
Well, also a lot of those movies like Howl's Moving Castle or Princess Mononoke, you had John Lasseter, who used to run Pixar, bring those, and he was overseeing the dubbing. Like, didn't Christian Bale?
Yes,
he was in
like
the
Bill
Howl's
Paxton,
Moving Castle. Yeah,
and a lot of people. So it's kind of
those dubs. I mean, I'll watch those dubs. I've watched the dub of Akira a lot, but
ordinarily I'm kind of with you. I like it in its original. Yeah.
Just because it's no dub can ever sound exactly like what you're seeing on screen. They never quite get it.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Next up, Anonymous says, "Alien Earth rules. Mad Eye Sheep Gang represent." Now, are you caught up finally?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm caught up. I'm caught up. I want to see where that goes. Obviously, I wasn't a huge fan of the last episode, not because what was going on. I think all the ideas are intriguing. I just thought people acted very stupidly. And I know John has said kids are, these are kids in the bodies of synths. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I understand Kirsch wants to see all hell break loose for whatever reason. He's running his own big experiment. But I'm like, do people have to be this dumb? I mean, these are very dangerous entities that shouldn't even be on Earth. You'd think they'd be watched over 24 hours, 24/7 by the best scientists in the world.
Men.
Yeah, and top men, and that these labs are left unattended, while you'd think these creatures. I know they've got computers and video cameras and all that, but man, I would never leave those things unattended, ever. But
I think if it was like a situation where not so many of those mishaps took place,
although I do want to believe that the sheep, Oculus sheep. I don't know what we have. We have to have a name for him, like Black Phillip. I do love that character. I can't wait to see where that goes. And I hope the sheep winds up on like a farm in the middle of America somewhere.
That would be interesting. All right. We got Wade who says, I'm excited for the next PlayStation State of Play event. Sometime in the next couple of weeks, they're reportedly going to officially reveal the new Wolverine game by Insomniac. It's supposedly being compared to The Last of Us and God of War. I mean, that'd be interesting. Those are pretty deep stories.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've heard that this game is, and I'm all for it, and they could Wolverine. The great thing about Wolverine is you've got the gameplay. The character of Wolverine lends himself so well to that kind of gameplay. But then also, if you get the video game equivalent of Logan, how cool would that be?
Mm-hmm. The Blade game looks really cool too.
Yeah, it really looks cool.
I think it's the Wesley Snipes character.
Yeah.
It's that. Yeah. We got Anonymous who says, why are people freaking out about Wednesday season 2 viewership? Reduced numbers were likely expected. It got an early season 3 renewal, a Fester spinoff, and it will likely still end up being Netflix's most watched series this year by a wide margin. I mean, the Fester, unless it's been shot, it was announced, they can always back out of that. but lower viewership is never like what you're aiming for, obviously. I didn't know that the viewership had slipped. I feel like it hit a zeitgeist like moment, and especially that dance that went viral certainly helped. And then people were talking about it, and then they all wanted to jump on. Whether they liked it enough to check out the season 2, I guess maybe that's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Wednesday show, when it first debuted, had a lot of interest on it, and then it settled down like things do. I wouldn't expect. I mean, the fact that it got a 3rd season renewal proves that Netflix is happy with it. So, and they're doing a spinoff, a Fester spinoff. I'm excited for that. So I think it could be, it's good, but I wouldn't have expected it to. It did, like you pointed out, Jonathan. It just lost its novelty,
right?
And that's normal.
The thing is too, it's like sometimes with these streaming services, especially with Netflix, it may not have taken off right away because it debuted in August. Wasn't it August when it finally debuted?
Yeah, I think so.
And people may be honestly waiting till it gets a little closer to end of September, closer to Halloween, honestly, because I think people may season watch this. They kind of want to tie it with the Hollywood season, Halloween season.
I you know what? I think that's a really good point. And people forget cable shows have a long tail.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff people want to catch up with, and then you finally get around to doing it. But Halloween would be the perfect season to watch it. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, everyone's sitting in August. They don't want to watch, gloomy Halloween movie show. All right, we got Jonathan. It's a good name. Chatwin says, "Hey John, found your channel leading up to Superman and love your show." So he's a new viewer, relatively. Looking forward to all the DC news. Question: did you see the selfie Corin Sweat posted on Instagram with Cena last week? Photo was taken during season 2, episode 4, in his silk shirt. Maybe we see Superman soon, episode 6. What do you think, Rob?
Oh, I think Superman's going to definitely be in this series of Peacemaker.
We saw his outline. We saw a silhouette.
Yeah, I mean, we saw his outline, but I also think that James Gunn has said that Man of Tomorrow comes directly off of Peacemaker season 2. So I think whatever they're doing with this dimensional doorway, whatever threat is going to be established or whatever, I definitely think David Corn Sweat's Superman is going to be in this season of Peacemaker.
Yeah, as do I.
Again, a full-on scene where they
like
interact.
Legitimately, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Lubru, come on, John. Even Jeremy Johns has a video up gushing about Expedition 33, and I know for a fact you're able to slap that PS5 onto the RV. Yeah, and actually it's funny because he was like, yesterday, we totally forgot to bring the Switch 2 and the PS5. We left it at home. He was kicking himself. So you have no excuses anymore. It's not just the best game this year, but the best game since Elden Ring. Although I got to say, personally, I wasn't too big on Elden Ring myself. I don't know if you've played any Elden Ring or this Expedition.
I have not played Elden Ring, but everybody's telling me about Expedition 33, that it's a game that would appeal to me personally, which I'm curious about why they think that. But I've only heard the best things about Expedition 33 and how incredible it is. So,
yeah.
And one of the things that I'm enjoying more and more about video games, I mean, look, I love my Grand Theft Auto. I love my Capcom fighting games, but I'm really interested. Like, I love Helldivers. But the story-based games fascinate me. I find myself getting more and more involved in I love the story mode in Grand Theft Auto 5. I played through it 4 times actually. And to see video games becoming a legitimate storytelling form where you can get just as involved with we saw that in Last of Us, and I love that about gaming. And I don't know if that's true of Expedition 33, but people made it sound like there was a really interesting story component that would appeal to me.
Yeah, so I believe it's like, I can't remember if it's exactly turn-based, but I know that it's role playing. But you're right. I mean, like, look at things like Ghost of Tsushima and other games that are.
Oh my God! Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima is plus, I mean, I just love samurais, anything to do with samurais and ninjas, but Ghost of Tsushima was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most beautiful games I'd ever played.
Oh my God, incredible.
Yeah. Carolina says, first Prime, then Ultra Magnus, and now you. It's a pity you Autobots die so easily, or I might have a sense of satisfaction. Aw, little Transformers quote there for you.
Yeah. What can I say?
They go down easy. What can I
know.
say?
The thing about Transformers is I was kind of too old for them. And for me, I love Japanese transforming robots. I mean, I was a 70s kid, so get a Robo G. Well, get a Robo, then get a Robo G, aka Star Avengers, Guy King, Mazinga Zeto, Raideen. I loved Japanese super robots. And the Transformers, I love Gundam, I love Robotech, aka Macross. I love all that. But Transformers, I was just a little too old. Although I did love Transformers 1, the movie, and I do love Dark of the Moon. I'll die on that hill. I'll die on the Dark of the Moon hill.
While I know that you appreciate the IP and all that stuff, we are probably about a decade apart. So that I definitely was, for my age group, like the He-Man, the G.I. Joe, Transformers, that era of like, I mean, Star Wars would have come in, like, especially early Star Wars for you in 77. You were probably young enough that you were like, oh, let me just check these out. But I think even with that,
yeah, because Transformers was the thing about like He-Man. It was a cartoon that was literally designed.
It was designed to sell toys, yeah.
And then Transformers. What was interesting too, I was when I first saw the trend, because I love transforming robot toys and things like that, die-cast Japanese robot toys. The first Transformers toys, some of the very first ones were repackaged Japanese toys, some of them, and that bothered me. I was like, wait a minute, that's not even its own thing. They've repackaged something else. But I mean,
us kids didn't notice that, but then we wouldn't. I mean, if you were older, you'd be aware of that.
I was like, how dare you?
All right, we got Anonymous who says, it's a shame the Long Walk is opening in such a crowded week and will only come in fourth behind Demon Slayer at 50 to 80 million, Conjuring 30. Downton Abbey 20. This September is turning out to be very crowded and a pretty strong month at the box office. It's true. And I'm actually really surprised about The Conjuring at 30 million for its second weekend.
You know what? I thought it was a good movie. I really did. I thought it really delivered the goods and it was surprisingly heartfelt. The thing about The Long Walk is it's a low budget movie.
Yeah.
According to producer Roy Lee, who you'll see I interviewed on my own channel, he said it cost $20 million. Which, for a Lionsgate movie, and you can see why, because they're literally walking in the wilderness, walking in on old country roads. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of, they didn't have to spend a lot of money. So I do think The Long Walk is going to be one of those movies, especially for Gen Z audiences and millennial audiences, that hits hard in more ways than one. So I think it's going to do well, and I think it's going to be a movie that's not forgotten by today's generations.
Yeah, we'll have to see where the chips all lay at the on Monday when we look at the weekend box office, because this was like last week. We didn't think The Conjuring was going to do what it did, and it was record-breaking history. So you never know.
Oh yeah, and even 30 million its second weekend for a horror film.
And the fact that The Long Walk is the highest-rated Steven, I almost said Spielberg, King adaptation. I think there's going to be some money behind this. So,
and I think when people see it and what actually goes on, they're going to be like, oh my God. Once they realize what it is, it makes me want to see. I want to look at Box Office Mojo and see what Conjuring has already made. Conjuring Last Rites. Let's see, because we've got Conjuring Last Rites, as of I guess yesterday, has already. Dude, this is insane. Conjuring Last Rites has already made $243,601,226 worldwide. 243 million. It did 100 million domestic this past week. It's done 142 million international. It might be at the end of this weekend or worldwide the largest grossing Conjuring film of all time.
I think it's on track. I think it's definitely tracking for that. All right, Benji the Husky says, as a follow-up to your physical versus digital media topic, I think a key point, I think we might have even done this the day you were out, I can't recall, but physical versus digital media topic, I think a key point that is left out is that when you purchase a physical media disc, you also get a digital media redemption code as well. It's the best of both worlds for incrementally a few more. Well, the nice thing about those digital codes, too, is they're going onto your hard drive. It's not being held by, a server for Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, no, look, I do my weekly show about physical media. As somebody who's a huge physical media fan, I think that's a really great point to make. And also, you'll always have your physical media in reserve, which is a great thing. And also, there's new things in the future. There's technology like Kaleidoscape, which has been around for a long time, but Kaleidoscape's becoming more and more affordable. And what they have in terms of downloads and the way you can interact with your physical media is really impressive. So, look, physical media, don't get me wrong, it's going to be gone at some point because no one's going to make players anymore, and it'll all be streaming. The problem with that is the problem that I worry about is all of these obscure movies. You're only going to see the top streaming movies, the ones that people are interested in, and all of cinema history, I worry, is going to be lost. Because people, who wants to watch old movies? And we're going to lose our rich legacy. It'll all just be relegated to a museum somewhere. And if you want to see something, you'll have to go to sit in a room and watch it after you check it out from a library that's not going to let you take it home. So,
all right. Well, we got Timmy Two Shoes here. Why do you call him Timmy Two Shoes?
He's got the papers.
See, he's got one leg. The person who wrote in about the Conjuring franchise, this is what John was referring to, was a little off. Per the numbers, total production budget is $272 million. Total worldwide box office $2.6 billion. Still incredible. I think he's talking
about the overall of all the movies.
Oh, yes, yeah. Okay. Because otherwise, Last Rites better have an on your left moment if you're spending $272 on one movie. But yes, that's total production for all of them.
All 9 movies.
So there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And still pretty impressive. Okay. We got Xanderman, who says, hello, John. Have you been able to catch up on Foundation yet? I'm super hyped to catch the finale this week. I think this season has been the best so far. I wish it was more popular. But I know you're watching it, Rob. Right?
Oh, the third season, I've seen the finale of Foundation. Okay. This season was incredible. I thought it was incredible. And the way that the show has melded Asimov's Foundation books with his robot novels, the Elijah Bailey robot novels, I, Robot, the whole idea of the 3 laws of robotics is taken to a really interesting place at the end of season 3. And if you read Deadline, I'm sure John didn't mention this, but Foundation was renewed for season 4 yesterday, or at least it was reported that it was renewed. It was probably renewed a long time ago, but it has officially been renewed. So we are getting season 4 of Foundation. And there's a show that has just been on a huge upward curve. If you haven't watched Foundation and you like heady science fiction stuff, it's a great show. And boy, did season 3, did it take it to new heights.
I'm just waiting for Silo, man. Come on.
I know, right? Another literary based sci-fi property.
And I'm loving the books. I'm reading
you're reading Wool?
Yeah, Wool and whatever. There's 2 others.
Yeah.
Xanderman says, with Paramount making a ton of big moves lately, when do you think we'll hear some moving on a new Halo movie or series project, or is it too soon?
I think it's probably too soon. I mean, unless they have an idea for it. I mean, Halo did well. It didn't do really well. So I think, obviously maybe we'll see something. I don't think it's on anyone's priority list, but who knows? What do I know? Maybe someone's going to come out with a Halo movie idea, but I don't see it happening anytime soon because we have a Halo show.
Yeah, and I don't see it being a priority over there. No. Cody Hunt Films. Hey, John. So you should come to Kansas City for a movie meetup. The AMC 20 Town Center would be perfect for you and your camper, and it's right next to AMC headquarters. Get some delicious barbecue from KC Joe's. I know that John is planning on going eventually to Oklahoma, so you got that there.
And if that's where the headquarters is, maybe he could get Adam Aaron to come out to the meet and greet.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Probably could, honestly. Samuel Rabin says, hello, John. With the new Alien versus Predator universe being set up, which timeline do you think Disney will pick? Because Romulus set itself up to be tied to Prometheus, etc., but Alien Earth retcons both those movies. I want the Alien Earth timeline as canon. Well, that and Aliens, and Alien... what was the most recent one that just came out? The movie?
Well, there was Alien Romulus.
Romulus.
But then, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if there really is I mean, obviously Prometheus and Covenant are supposed to be tied in with the Alien movies, but and what about the Alien versus Predator films as well?
Yeah,
I think those are, I mean, I like the idea of, I want to see where Alien Earth goes now, but I kind of think of the Alien movies as James Bond movies. The continuity, the concept is kind of the same. We're carrying the concept forward from movie to movie to movie, but the continuity is loose. You know, they're all like kind of like variations on a theme. Kind of like,
yeah, I just don't think you're getting a connective tissue between like Aliens versus Predator, or what was the one where it's like a giant predator and they have to fight that one that just recently came out and flopped? Was that Predators, or I can't quite recall.
It was Predators. Predators I thought was pretty good.
No, it's the most recent one that had flopped in the theaters. I mean, when I say recent, this is years back now.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
Alien versus Predator. Requiem.
Shane Black did it. What was the one Shane Black did?
The Predator.
There you go. Okay.
That movie was not good.
Yeah, so I don't think that's going to be in the timeline.
Yeah,
we got Amin, who's at TIFF. It was just an accident. The Palme d'Or winner is one of the best films of the year. Gripping, surprisingly funny, and beautifully shot. Tackling the lasting scars of state violence in Iran. Balances tense moments with levity and lingers long after the credits. So it was just an accident. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's some great movies. There's some great Iranian movies that have been made. Holy Spider being one of them, and I recently watched that I own. I really want to see that film, and hopefully one day Iran will be released from the theocracy that controls it, because I think that Iran has a vibrant cultural arts scene that just is ready to explode. I would love to see that happen.
Mm-hmm. Mr. I says, which is a worse Michael Caine co-starring movie, The Last Witch Hunter or Jaws 4: The Revenge? Also, while watching Last Witch Hunter, I thought, how did I think he meant Uwe Boll, but he says you Bill get Vin Diesel? It's not a Boll movie, but it's that bad. It's 3 fans get a sequel.
Hey, that's a very good question, but I think The Last Witch Hunter has a lot more appeal than a Jaws the Revenge sequel.
I'm saying Jaws the Revenge is the worst, but
it's bad. I mean, this time it's personal. Like, this shark has a personal vendetta against the Brody family and swims all the way down to...
You know what's interesting about that movie, and I never thought it's not really a defense of Jaws the Revenge. All of the family scenes, all of the scenes where they're just on land or in the house, or they're talking about their, chief, he passed away, and all the stuff that ties the family together is really nice, and it's fine. It's as soon as you go out in the water and you're fighting this shark who's trying to get revenge, and it's just like, this is so bad. The editing's so choppy. The sound effects suck. It's so bad. But you know what?
So
Michael
bad.
Caine did say that movie bought his mom a house.
Bought his mom a house,
regrets.
and we can't argue with that.
No.
But yeah, The Last Witch Hunter, hey, I hate to admit I own a steelbook of that, but that's only because Lionsgate sent me one. So
I don't know if you were when we were talking about that, but that movie actually has a really good cast.
It does have it has a great cast. And they're making a sequel.
I don't know why, but we'll have to talk to Lionsgate about that. Me, not the father, Mari, says in Aliens, I can't believe it's just tempered glass holding them, especially the ones who have acid as a weapon. The humans better hope these aliens don't figure that out. Then you have the Timothy Oliphant character just watching it all unfold like a TV show. I didn't mind that because we're living in his experiment.
Right. But I do think like they knew these extraterrestrials were coming, or maybe they didn't. I mean, you could sit there and go, maybe Kid Cavalier I got the impression that for 65 years, this ship was out there. The Maginot was out there finding extraterrestrial life. And if Kid Cavalier knew it and wanted to sabotage the ship, he would have built a better biolab. But that place where they're being held is not a traditional biohazard site. So I guess that's why I have to give it a pass. I just keep asking myself these questions. And if I have to ask myself these questions, I'm like, the movie's failing me. So
Mr. I says, loving Alien Earth, Adam, the old Bard corporate head looked familiar. Ever see the old Brit comedy series? Dude. The Young Ones is great.
The
He
Young
was
Ones is
the
great. I
punk
haven't seen it in
guy,
ages. Wow.
Vivian Bastard.
Wow.
I loved that character.
Yeah, I did too, but I haven't watched that show in what, 25 years, 30 years?
I used to love it. I was a little
Wasn't
kid.
it on MTV?
Yeah, MTV in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
My sister's older. She's like 10 years older than me. So she was born in 68. So she would have it on. And I watched it. I didn't quite understand it at my age. And then I found like the DVDs in the 90s or whatever, the late 90s. And I just like went through them all again. God, I love that show.
There's a show young people today need to watch.
Yep. Then we got Anonymous, who says, greetings from New Zealand. Love your show. Watch it every day. My partner and I went to see The Long Walk. What a great movie. One of the best movies of the year. The scary part about the movie is it could happen.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think anything could happen nowadays. So
yeah, no, but I could definitely see reality TV where people are actually dying. I don't think we're too far away from that. Bread and circuses, gladiatorial combat.
Yep. We got a two-parter from Sir Ivan Bennett. It's game day. Looking forward to this week's Peacemaker. I know you're not big on the credits theme song, but check out the lyrics. They're gonna eat you alive, son, when their fangs sink in. I'll stitch you, but then I gotta throw you back in. You just try and sleep even though you're alone. You just close your eyes, boy, and dream of home. Because there is always a wrong to your right, and there will always be a war somewhere to fight. God knows I've had some rough effing years. No, I mean, I like the song personally, and the lyrics are apropos. You know?
Totally. I like the song too.
It's grown on me. The first time I heard it, it's like anything else. It's like you're trained to hear that first season song. I have no problem with it. Jake's khakis are here. I don't know where Jake is, but his khakis are watching. I have a theory prediction for Stranger Things 5. I think Mr. Wheeler will perish in some major heroic moment where he saves Holly. This is why Nancy is crying at the sink in the trailer. It's always difficult from a trailer, especially with something as many hours of content that this season's going to have, and say, I know why she's crying at this sink. It's because of this. And then we tie that in. And rarely is that ever the case.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. But it's fine to theorize.
I think a lot of people are going to die. It is the final season. I mean, at some point, the amazing whatever supernatural rip that the Upside Down is, and whatever's a Vecna or whatever, someone's got to die. I mean, in order to save the world.
Yep.
And they ain't coming back. So
there's no coming back from this. Anonymous says it's game day. Seeing Demon Slayer Infinity Castle tonight in Dolby with a sold-out crowd. I've never been so hyped for an anime film.
Yeah, I saw the trailer in IMAX, so people are really stoked. I mean,
I wasn't big on that trailer, though.
I didn't like the trailer either.
It was choppy.
It was choppy. It looked like they took one of the, an original Japanese trailer and kind of just threw on, and it didn't work. It didn't work.
And it felt like the timing of the audio wasn't synced or something weird.
Yeah, it was bizarre. But hey, look, I'm happy people love it. And coming off K-pop Demon Hunters, you've got people are salivating for new anime, and if it really does do $40 or $50 million this weekend and theatrically, that's going to send a big look. One of my favorite Japanese animators is the late great Satoshi Kon, who made like Paranoia Agent and made Millennium Actress and Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is coming to theaters soon, and if you haven't seen Perfect Blue, that's a legitimately great. It's not your typical anime fare. It's something you would see in live action made here in America about celebrity and what it means, and it's kind of a thriller, and it's fantastic. And that's coming out in a couple of weeks too. So everybody go see Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue. It's amazing.
We got Sebastian. Hi, John. You should check out the Matrix 25th anniversary experience at Cosm Venues, LA or Dallas. It's an 87-foot LED dome that makes you feel like you're inside the movie, kind of like the Sphere, but the Sphere is like massive. It's way different from that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I want to go see it. I keep seeing ads for it.
Yeah, it'd be the perfect stop. So, I mean, the great thing about it is like, more so than even for movies, Cosm is great for sporting events because they have their own set up cameras at sporting events. I know I watched like last year's World Series, like clips from Cosm, and like Freddie Freeman's that walk-off grand slam, and you literally feel the way, because the screen wraps, and so you literally feel like you're sitting in the seats because it comes around like to your peripheral. So you feel like you're
Oh,
sitting and you can look down at people down the row or whatever. And it's
that's so
incredible.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. Now we got Anonymous who says, okay, Sebastian, I'm in Anonymous right here. You might talk about this on the show anyway, but now Spielberg and Rian Johnson are going nuts saying praise for one battle after another. I don't know if it'll make money, but could this be a sleeper awards hit this year? Might be great, just hard to market. I know that Mance said it was one of the best movies of the year.
Oh yeah, and people are saying it's one of the best movies of the last 20 years, and that it has a Kubrickian Doctor Strangelove vibe. It's based on Thomas Pynchon's novel, or loosely based on Thomas Pynchon's novel Vineland.
Mhm.
So I'm really curious to see what the hype is all about. But you know, Paul Thomas Anderson is one of our great filmmakers. And obviously, you know, he made Boogie Nights, which is great. He made There Will Be Blood, which I totally love. He made Magnolia, which I don't love it as much as most people. I love The Phantom Thread. I mean, the guy's a master craftsman. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. I haven't been enamored of the trailers though.
But I think because, you know, based off of what you just said and what it's adapted from, it's really hard to make a trailer for that. I really think
I totally agree with you.
And I think that's one of the problems with some Paul Thomas Anderson films. They definitely transcend the trailers.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to say that it's some kind of an action movie where there's action in it, but the book is not all of that. Yeah, so
exactly. I still think that it wasn't, although you can't say it's an Adam Sandler movie, but the best movie Adam Sandler was ever in was Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah, I agree.
My favorite performance of his.
And Uncut Gems.
Yes. Yeah. Zodley says, morning, Campea crew. I know it's just the white hair, but what do you think of Timothy Olyphant as your favorite Magneto for X-Men?
He could do it. I mean,
I think he's an incredible actor. I think I would say, like, a lot of people really didn't think about him that much, but as his career has grown, people are like, hey, this guy's really freaking good.
He's really good.
I don't know I see him as a Magneto.
Yeah.
I could, you know.
I mean, I could see him as an X-Men, but maybe not 100%. Magneto. I mean, Magneto, you can have a younger Magneto. Fassbender was a great younger Magneto because the X-Men themselves were younger. But I do think that Magneto and Xavier have to be older characters. You know, it depending. I mean, it really depends because McAvoy did a great job, but we got to see young Xavier as the same age as the X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But I'd watch it.
Experimental Films says you can buy Alien Romulus on VHS. That's very true.
And play it by a player you can get at Walmart.
Yep. Go get them. Mr. I says, I still about VHS. So still have a VHS player mainly used to watch the special edition Star Wars trilogy box set that I've had since I was a kid. I'm pretty sure I have the same one, and I have the Star Trek 1 through 6 where the VHS tapes all form the forward.
Yeah, the Enterprise flying out, kind of the red. Yeah, that's cool.
Mainly used to watch the special edition Star Wars trilogy box set that I've had since I was a kid. Porky's and The Last Starfighter. Love Last Starfighter, which needs a remake. It's a high-end VCR. It has S-Video, baby.
Love it. Although I don't love videotape. I was so happy to get rid of my videotapes in about 1985 when I went Laserdisc only until DVDs in like 97, 98.
Yeah.
I hated VHS only because every time you played your tapes, I had thousands of movies on VHS, and every time I played them, you would see new dropouts.
Right.
You know, it drove me crazy. Oh.
Yeah. I will say that someone brought it up too, but the reason why I'm interested in getting one, because I've tried to buy them on eBay and it says works and it doesn't work and whatever. But there's a lot of family footage that I need to archive and digitize.
Yep.
And then now that people know that I do that from time to time, I just do it for friends. I don't don't hit me up. Then it's like you need a VHS player that you can digitize all those family footage, like things to archive. So that's the reason why I want one.
100%.
Thanos was kind of right. Too bad I wasn't wearing my Thanos shirt today. Hello, John. Thank you for all of you and the team do. My question is, with the success of Demon Hunter in theaters, do you think it would be smart for Netflix to or to release the series finale of Stranger Things in theaters, I think it could be massive if they did. Those are going to be feature length, right? Episodes.
Yeah, I'd say they're like all like feature length movies. I mean,
they can release them for 2 weekends.
I think people would go.
But here's the thing with Stranger Things, I don't think you release it ahead of time. You'd have to release it concurrently or people would flip out.
Yeah.
And then how much money does it make at that point? I don't know.
Right. I don't think Netflix, because it's such a flagship Netflix thing. But I would go.
Yeah.
I would go see Stranger Things.
I know a lot of people would, for sure. Yeah.
Like they did that with Game of Thrones, the climax episodes. They'd show like 2 of them together.
Sure. I remember one year they did 2 episodes together. It was Watchers on the Wall and the one before to the one after it. That was the one where the people of the North, like, you know, scaled the wall. And,
which was awesome.
Yeah. We thought that was epic, and then it just got crazier, man. Then Battle of the Bastards. Oh, man. Anonymous has a 2-parter here. As an anecdotal point, my goodness, I'm a film programmer for a major U.S. exhibitor. We have already received multiple requests for films that are entirely AI generated. Who's requesting these? All of the films we've received like that have been absolutely terrible, and we passed. Yeah, so you're being requested from the people who are making them. But there has been a noticeable improvement over the last year and a half on these films. They've all been from independent distributors, but I don't imagine it'll be long before we get one from a major distributor that we have to support.
Well, I would say, I mean, one of the things about AI is, you know, literally one person can make a feature film sitting at a computer prompting.
It does need to be, you need to inform audiences that it's an AI film, though. You can't like try to.
Oh yeah, I think it's like, I think the there's a guy named Damon Packard on YouTube, and if you look up Damon Packard, his films, he's a really interesting cat around LA. He's kind of legendary. He made a movie called Reflections of Evil that he would just leave stacks of DVDs on street corners, literally. And he's been doing some amazing stuff with AI. And I think if anybody ends up making the first feature that winds up in a theater, an indie feature, it'll be a guy like Damon Packard. But the problem is it's really difficult because because right now, if you're trying to make a scene where people are talking and using shots that have continuity, it's really difficult to go from like a 50-50 to a close-up to a medium shot. AI hasn't quite mastered that yet. I mean, that's why when you see all these interview shots or the baby videos or whatever, it's always the same shot and then they cut to a different shot, because it's really hard to go. You can't duplicate it. Like AI doesn't know what you want to do, but eventually they're going to figure out how to have AI coverage. You'll have your subject. You'll be able to change the lens size. You'll be able to cut around. Then things are going to start to get really interesting to see how people are going to use because one person, it's going to be like writing a novel. You'll be able to write a movie. One person will be able to do that. And then I guess we're all out of business. But whether they're good or not, this distributor has nailed the fact that, yeah, right now what we're getting is not up to snuff. So eventually it probably will be, though.
Sorry, I just got a message from someone in the chat that said I skipped one of yours, and it was the one right before game day, but that's Jake's Khakis. So yeah, just let me know is it your name in there? Because I think I've read all of these, but hit me again in the chat and I'll try to find it. But moving forward, let's see, we did the anecdotal point, so here we go. Joshua Jones says, if that Marvel Zombies trailer didn't convince me enough, they'd play a recent badass song by Baby Metal and Poppy. It's the Turning Red teaser with Backstreet's Larger Than Life all over again. So is there another Marvel Zombie trailer? Or is that the one he's just talking about?
I don't know. Maybe that's the one I've only seen one, you know. And I mean, the problem is Marvel Zombies is by definition a gimmick. You know, yeah. And I read the comics and all that. I understand why, because zombies are very successful. It makes sense that there's zombie shows and all that. Why not go for the Marvel Zombies animated series? It could be a lot of fun, but I'm like, it's a trifle. You know, it's a fun little thing to watch. I don't think it's going to change anyone's life, but hey, it might be better than I think.
All right, I think I found it. It's from Corey. Greetings from New Zealand. Love your show. Watch it every day. My partner. Oh, we read this.
No, you
one.
read that.
And that's. Oh, I see what happened.
There. Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right. Have you ever had success advocating for a movie to be played at your theater? I live in Baltimore. My primary theater has 16 screens, and the Baltimoreans is at the AMC 35. AMC 35 to 40 minutes away. I can go to Cinemark, but I subscribe to A-List. I want it here. I've never reached out, and I mean, my AMC is kind of a big one, and it has typically most of the things I want to see, but I mean, sometimes I got to go to a Lamley if I want to see like a documentary or an indie film.
Yeah, I mean, movie theaters are booked. There's a whole industry that books. You've got movie bookers that decide which theaters are going to play which film based on demographics and things like that. So they have pretty robust analytics knowing which films play better in which theaters. So there's been a lot of thought put into that.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand your pain though. I mean, I've here where I live now is far out of LA, and my local theater sometimes is not playing the movies that I want to see just because they don't think the demographics will support. Like, you might want to see it, but will anybody else go? And the thing is, when I wanted to ask for movies, I'm like, well, if nobody shows up, then it's going to damage the analytics, and there'll be no chance that I'll get a movie that I want to see played there. So
right. It's tough. It's hard out there. We got Ben Bangs says, hey, John, speaking of Walmart selling VHS machines, I just threw out my last 2 tapes, one of which featured me as the sole guest on a 30-minute TV show in my second language in 2005. So, I don't think I'll be spending $156 on this old tech. Thanks, man. What? Unless that tape got ruined, why did you get rid of it? You were featured.
Yeah. You can also send out your videotapes to get transferred by
they can be transferred
services.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you have it and you throw it up on YouTube.
Honestly,
until the apocalypse, people can watch it.
Amazon sells this little device. It's got a little. Where's my camera? A little screen. It's just a little handheld device. You plug it in with the red, the yellow, and the black or whatever white RCA cables. It sees what's on your VHS. You hit play, you hit record on the device, and it digitizes for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can digitize for yourself. So, really super simple. 3, The Borb. Hey, John, wait, I'm confused. Why is David Zaslav selling Warner Brothers? Didn't he just buy them? Well, Zaslav didn't buy them. Did I miss something? See you in Dublin next Thursday. Unless you're thinking of Paramount and Ellison, but no.
No, well, they just bought, it's only been like 2 years.
Yeah.
But remember, the people that are buying and selling companies, it's like Gordon Gekko and Wall Street. They're doing this to make a profit. And that's really what it's all about. I don't think David Zaslav was not, he wanted to. I think David Ellison loves movies. I think he wants to continue to make stuff. I don't think he's interested in selling. I think he wants to build an empire and spend the rest of his days making great movies and great television shows. He just needs to find somebody who knows how to make good Star Trek, which has never happened under his watch. So, David, fingers crossed for you, buddy. Really. And the franchise.
Well, some good creators, man. Maybe you can send them his way.
Hey.
One question I had, maybe you know this. So the Skydance and Paramount, it's not purchased under Skydance. Like, that's not the umbrella company. It's a merger, right? They merged.
No, but I do think it's Skydance. They did because there was National Amusements. It's a really weird, like Sherry Redstone had National Amusements. That was the primary shareholder in Paramount. So it's some kind of a
amalgamation
of something. But now Skydance has the controlling interest.
So now I'm curious, because we have talked about this, and it's like, well, Paramount Studios isn't in purchasing Warner Brothers, where it absorb it. We could be in a situation where Skydance, as the parent umbrella,
I think
both,
it's Sky,
and then they run independently. So theoretically, you don't have really. It's not like Fox and Disney where it absorbed it. We could end up in a situation where they still run independently under one banner.
And I think that's what we're going to see,
which would be smarter, because then they won't get overwhelmed.
Yep. Right.
So there's still hope. All right. Nick Jameson says, hi, John. I've heard you mention that Daredevil Born Again didn't perform as well as Disney would have hoped. I think a large part of the reason that it underperformed was that they gave us an entirely different show by sidelining Foggy and Karen. I don't know. I understand where he's coming from, but I just can't imagine that audiences didn't tune in because of Foggy and Karen.
Yeah, no, I look, I think that the fact that by the time Daredevil wound up on Disney Plus, the first of all, it had been a while since we'd seen Daredevil in a show. And second of all, I think a lot of enthusiasm, in the first Daredevil show and the Netflix streaming shows, there was still a lot of enthusiasm for Marvel. And that enthusiasm has been diminished. I mean, if you look at it now, we're in 2025. So we're 27, or no, not 27 years. We're 17 years because the Marvel Cinematic Universe started in 2008. So we're now, what is it? How many years is that now? It's 17. We're 17 years into the MCU. And, you can't expect an entertainment concern with the amount of movies they've put out and the amount of TV shows they've put out to keep the enthusiasm for all of that time.
The funny thing too is that you've spanned generations.
Yeah.
So on one hand, that's incredible. But on the other hand, you've got to get millennials and everyone before, and then now you got to get Gen Z and Gen A interested too. And that comes with them being parents, or maybe they were old enough where they're like, "Oh, I wanted to check those out. I'm going to check them out now." But that is significant.
Well, and
you're dealing with three different generations here.
You're totally right. And if you think about it, it wasn't really until 2012 that iPhones and smartphones filtered down to the younger generation, because at first they were exorbitantly expensive. So what you're looking at is when the MCU started, the first 5 years of the MCU, they were, moviegoers loved them and all that. But as it moved along, the interest in your younger movie-going generation has completely changed. I mean, everything from Minecraft, Roblox to whatever else people are doing, the entertainment, where people are looking for entertainment, has changed drastically in the 17 years since the advent of the MCU. The landscape is very different than 2008 when Iron Man debuted.
100%.
And that's why we see Demon Slayer and K-pop Demon Hunters, and every generation wants to have their own pop culture. And so if you were born, let's say you were born in the early 2000s, or you were like, you're born in 2000. When the MCU started, you were like 8, which if you were interested, if you're aware of superheroes, okay, that might be something interesting to you. But by the time you got to social media when you were 12 or something, what was happening immediately in your sphere, what was happening with all your other friends that were 12-year-olds, you're watching other new influencers or whatever, it was just a different time. And people are interested in different things. And what's so funny is everyone's like, well, how do we put the MCU back, or how do we make Star Wars back the way it used to be? And I'm like, younger audiences, these aren't their thing. Star Wars is from the 70s.
Yeah.
And people forget, it's like, okay, we all love Star Wars. How could Star Wars not be great? But if you're 15 years old, Star Wars, you can take it or leave it. And I think people don't understand that. That's why you had people screaming with the chicken jockey scene happening in Minecraft, because that's their generation. You look at, if someone were to say to me, well, why is the chicken jockey scene, why is that so funny? What do I know about Minecraft?
Right.
I mean, I've studied up on it, so now I understand, but it's not my thing, and nor is it made for me.
It was still really disrespectful to theaters, but to be hyped, without the destruction, they still could have gone crazy. So I get it. I mean, you put it into perspective. Like, I'll go through like 2 different decades. Let's say that Doomsday is coming out and it's 1997, 1996. That means you would have had to follow the MCU from 1970s movies, 1980s movies, into the 90s, to keep up. Or let's say 2007. Let's say instead of Iron Man, we're now at Doomsday, where Iron Man came out that year. So that means you're watching movies from the 80s, the 90s, and into the aughts to all connect. It's a big ask for new generations.
It is a big ask. I mean, if you think about that, Jonathan, that's 1985 to 2002. And think about what came, like Back to the Future came out in 1985. And let's say for me, I was still in high school when Back to the Future came out, going into college. Which, and I really loved Back to the Future came out that summer after I was graduating. I think I just turned 18 and leaving college, and now 85 going all the way up to 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I'd gone through college. I'd become a young adult. I'd worked in the entertainment business. I directed my first motion picture.
Yeah.
I'd worked on DVDs, and I was in New Zealand working on Lord of the Rings.
And that's you personally. Now imagine all of the political shifts, the technological shifts, the cultural shifts that have happened, institutional shifts, different world.
And then you have a whole generation of people that have a whole new explosive interest in what they didn't have before, influencers. You have video games that are games like Ghost of Tsushima or Helldivers or Experiment 33. I mean, things have changed massively so, and to expect certain entertainments to be as popular as they were. I mean, when did Daredevil debut? 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Yep. If you got a 20-year-old kid, that seems like older, like 20, but they were 10 when that came out.
And if you had a 20-year-old kid that was 20 when Iron Man came out, he'd be 37 now.
And has kids of his own, probably, or her.
And he's probably got kids of his own, kids of his own that are going to junior or middle school.
So my point to all of that is that you got to put these things in perspective when a studio spans that long. For you and me, it's like, yeah, that's just a long time when we've been on the train. But when you're younger, you hop off. You do other things.
Yeah.
Joe Munster says we got 4 more, and then we've reached all of our tips now. Just so you guys know, so once we're done with this on Monday, any tips that will have come after our final one today will be up to date. So Monday we'll start with anything that's new that you might have put in today or whatever that's not covered here. But going back, Joe Munster says, what are the odds that Ryan Reynolds' Hal Jordan is a surprise cameo in the last episode of Peacemaker as a way to promote Lanterns? That would be funny, but I just don't see that.
Yeah, I think that's too, again, that would break the fourth wall, and especially after what James Gunn already did, retconning the end of Peacemaker season 1 by putting in the Justice Gang instead of the Justice League. I think that was a really great, elegant way to go. And I don't think we're going to see Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern.
Yeah. Luke says, hi, John and crew. We've just had confirmation here in the UK that John Cena is going to be at Liverpool Comic-Con this November. Can't wait to meet Peacemaker. Thanks so much for everything you do. It's a pleasure to listen to you guys every day. Thank you. That's cool.
That's really cool. Congratulations on that.
I mean, John Cena is just one of the nicest people.
Yeah,
really.
And I think he understands it. I look, any guy that would go to the opening of Peacemaker dressed in his Peacemaker uniform and go on talk shows, dressed as Peacemaker, you got to love him. You got to love John Cena.
We got the Jody. Hey guys, based on the huge number of PVOD purchases for Superman, do you think if old theatrical window and expectations for home release were still intact, the 90-day plus, this movie would have made over $1 billion? I think it's one of the factors of like waiting for VOD or streaming.
No, I think, look, the economics of movie going has totally changed, obviously, and the expectations have changed. It used to be movies could play for a year in theaters before they went to home video. But yeah, I think that it definitely could. The popularity also, remember, I think a lot of families, movies are really expensive now. I think a lot of families are waiting. When you can stay home, you don't have to pay for refreshments. You don't have to pay for parking. Even though the movies cost $25 or $30, that's still better than going out. Going out to the movies is twice that. So I think that there's a lot of families that just didn't get to the theater that are now availing themselves of Superman. And I think it could have probably made $1 billion. And that's why, again, Jonathan, we've talked about Man of Steel. People want to compare and contrast. Man of Steel's 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And to compare, I mean, over a decade. I mean, if you think about going from 1980 to 1992.
And people are still...
comparing and contrasting, and it's it's so weird because we as fans, we think of them like, it's funny as a fan, and I've been a fan my whole life, so sometimes it feels like time has frozen for me. Like once you see something and it becomes a classic movie that everybody loves, Back to the Future is just something everybody knows. And when I meet people that haven't seen Back to the Future, my first inclination is like, what? You haven't seen Back to the Future? And then I'm like, oh, it's 40 years old.
Back
you
in
weren't
theaters,
even
October
born.
31st.
Yeah, I know. And you weren't even born when it came out.
I
So
know.
why do we? And then if you were born in 85, you're in 95, you're 10. Why would you go back and watch Back to the Future if you didn't already catch up with it?
Yeah. Unless you had someone that recommended it, you want to get into film, like you're just into like catching these things. If film isn't really like that big of a deal for you, which for general audiences, they catch what seems interesting at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like Spotify. It's like, dude, you have access to everything recorded from, like, if you want to go into rock and roll, soul, into hip hop, whatever, you literally could learn the entire history of rock and roll. Like, I'll just say history of rock and roll over this. Like, that means like everything from like the 50s to now, every genre now through pop and everything. You could know everything. Most people don't know much more than what's come out this year.
I watched this kid, this bearded guy, really nice. He seems like a really nice guy.
I actually know what you're going to say, and I stopped watching it because I'm like, what kind of a person that does what you say you do doesn't know these things?
Yeah,
but anyway, I don't want to name drop or anything.
Well, no, but I like his videos and I like what he has to say. But the fact is, he calls himself a music producer, but he hasn't listened to like
Queen.
The most classically produced records, like the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. It'd be like being an art history major and not going back and looking at the works of Rembrandt.
How could you can't
Monet,
like,
or
yeah, you're going to be like this
Da Vinci.
Famous contemporary artist, but you've never heard of like all the names you literally just said.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, you're in the industry. I think you'd want to know.
Especially because if you think about the top 10 greatest rock and roll acts of all time, Led Zeppelin's one of them. You know, the Led Zeppelin, the Stones, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, whatever. And so to sit there and go, I've never heard this record before. I'm like,
how?
I mean, just how have you not heard Led Zeppelin?
And what are you producing? And this isn't like old men screaming at the clouds. I literally, if this is your industry, no matter what it is, you should know what came before. This is your industry.
Well, if you want to produce music, I think a Google search, what are the 10 best produced records of all time?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and from a production standpoint, you're going to get stuff like, you know, Peter Gabriel's So, or you're going to get like a Steely Dan record is one of the greatest.
You're going to have some awkward moments when you finally go into like you get hired at some famous like recording studio, like, you know, the Beatles recorded here, and you're like, who? They're going to think you're an idiot.
Right. Because that'd be like going, you know, if I'm an art history major. Have you ever heard of the Mona Lisa? No.
What's that? What's a museum? I just do digital art. Okay, that's fine, but then what industry are you in here? Our final one, Nikolai says, I'm gonna have to move this down because it ain't catching all of it. Says, hey John, I was wondering if you've heard of the DCKO comics that's coming out. It seems to be a tournament with all the best characters, and they release the brackets on DC's page. Looks awesome. Maybe you guys could cover that sometimes. Well, how do they move on to the next bracket? Like, is it something they lose a fight in the story, or do you know anything about that?
No, I have not been. I keep up with my omnibuses. If something comes out, I'll go buy it, like the new Absolute Superman, Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman. But I don't know about DCKO. The problem that I have with that is you're at the whims of the writer and artist. You know, the writer specifically. Like, who's deciding these things?
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, if you're gonna have like Mon-El take on Kal-El, who's gonna win?
Unless it's voter like
unless
whatever.
it's like when they killed Robin.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to see. I still want to see Ben Affleck's Batman movie where he takes on Terminator. I still want to see it because that'd be a good fight. But Terminator's a little older, so who's gonna wear? It's, you know,
exactly. All right, guys. Well, look, thank you for sticking with us. I know John, he had to get on the road a little earlier because he's trying to get to I want to say Denver,
Salt Lake City. Is it Denver or Salt Lake?
Yeah, I don't have the schedule. Whatever, he's posted it. You could check it out. But he needs to get on the road because he was a little late getting to the last screening. He felt really bad about that. So that's why it's been me and Rob holding down the fort, and we've been trying to catch up. I feel bad because
Ann didn't get to see all of John Carpenter's The Thing in the theater.
You're right. That sucks.
She'd never seen it before.
But I will say, I don't know if you guys follow their Instagram pages, but Ann posted some awesome road footage. Like, she was sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Of like just driving through the prairie and the huge sky, but then they got to the desert and like the desert formation, the rock formations they were driving through. Like, it's been an incredible trip.
They went right by the Arizona meteor crater. They should have stopped, man.
I know. I think it was nighttime though. I've been there though. It's incredible.
Oh, it's incredible.
But anyway, hey, thanks for sticking with us, and thank you, Rob, and for myself, Jonathan, Voico. and John Campea, who's no longer here until Monday. Well, actually, he might see you guys on the weekend. I don't know. Thanks for sticking around, and
I'll be doing some shows. Come to Observations on YouTube.
What do you got? Also, check out True Noir. You want to plug anything?
Just my audio drama, truenoir.co. I directed, produced, and directed an almost 4-hour audio drama, or actually over 4 hours. It stars Michael Rosenbaum, Katie Sackhoff, all kinds of people you love. So check it out.
All right, guys. Again, thank you so much. I'll see you guys Monday.